to achieve financial independence. The first is to carefully evaluate every expenditure before you make it. Delay every expenditure that you possibly can. Put it off until later, if you make it at all. The second thing that you should do is to set clear goals and targets for the amounts that you intend to earn and keep. Measure your results against these targets every week and every month. What gets measured gets done. The third activity is for you to look for ways to reduce your monthly expenditures and instead save the money. Cut out all non-essential expenses. Keep asking yourself, do I really need this? And if you don't buy it or don't spend it. Set it as a goal to reduce your monthly cost of living by as much as you can as quickly as possible. Remember, every dollar that you can save from your monthly expenses is an additional dollar that you can put into your financial freedom account. The fourth activity is for you to take every opportunity you possibly can to increase your value, to increase your earning ability. Look for ways to upgrade your knowledge and skills. Concentrate on getting better at those activities that contribute the greatest value to yourself and your company. Become totally focused on making more and saving more every single day. Financial success is predictable. It has never been more possible for you to earn and keep more money than it is today. There are hundreds of thousands and even millions of self-made millionaires, all of whom started with nothing and who began using the practices and processes described in this session. Your job is to become one of them. Begin today. Imagine that there's two types of work that you do. There's work that we will call work number one, right? And this work is work that has big potential consequences. If you do this and you do it well, it makes a big difference in your life and your family and everything else. The other type of work you do are what we call number two work, and this work has no potential consequence. So the first category of work moves you toward your most important goals faster than anything else. This other type of work does not move you toward your goals, and even worse, it moves you away from your goals. All the examples of time that you waste doing things of no value. So here's a simple way to become one of the highest paid and most productive people in society is do only number one task. Do only those things that are moving you every day toward the goals that you say you want to achieve. You want to earn more money, be happier, healthier, move up in your business, have a nice house and a car, travel. Only do those things all day long. If you only do those things, the things that have great potential consequences, it transforms your life. Now here's another discovery. 95% of what you do comes from habit. And if you do something repeatedly over and over again, what do you develop? You develop a new habit. You've heard the rule, the 80-20 rule, the Pareto principle, that the top 20% of salespeople make 80% of the sales, that the bottom 80% of salespeople make 20% of the sales. You know what the difference is, the ratio is there? The ratio is the difference between 16 to 1. That the average income of people in the top 20% is 16 times the average income of the people in the bottom 80%. Now let me ask you a question. Does it mean the people in the top 20% are 16 times better than the people in the bottom 80%? 16 times more experience? Do they work 16 times the number of hours? Do they have 16 times the number of years of education? Are they 16 times more handsome? Are they 16 times anything? You know that it's not humanly possible to be twice as smart as somebody else. Two. Looking at very, very unintelligent people and very, very brilliant people, it's just really not humanly possible on average for us to even be twice as smart as anybody else. But 20% of these people are making 16 times the average. The rest. In our society, there is a lot of controversy over why should I work so hard for my job. The fact of the matter is that less than 5% really succeed. That's less than 5% of the population really succeeded by. Of 100 people working today, only one will be wealthy when they retire. 4 will be financially independent. 15 will have some savings. 80% will be broke and dependent upon charities and pensions. Only 1 or 2% of people in each generation really makes it in life. And in every single study, those people who make it are those who work hard, hard, hard. And if you think that it's hard to be successful, try being a failure. Try coming to the end of the trail with no money, dependent upon pensions, and you don't know what hard is until you try living like that. But if you work hard, the average self-made millionaire in America works 12, 13 hours a day, works about 60 to 65 hours a week. I'll tell you this with regard to hard work, that in our society, you only work 8 hours a day for survival. Everything over 8 hours is for success. If you're only working 8 hours a day, you're in trouble. If you're only working 8 hours a day, you better have a rich uncle. You better have somebody else who's going to take care of you, because 8 hours a day only gets you survival in our society. Because it's so competitive that somebody else is working 9. They've got an edge on you. Somebody else is working 10. You've got a bigger edge on you. Every hour over 8 that you invest is an investment in your future, is an investment in your success. And if you put in the hours over 8, whether it's studying or reading or working, if you put in the hours, it will pay off, and it will pay off in spades. It's like throwing seed in the ground. You throw a seed in the ground, plant that comes up is not just one seed, it's hundreds of seeds. There's a crop that you put in, but you must put the seed in the ground first. The market only pays excellent rewards for excellent performance. It pays average rewards for average performance. It pays below average rewards for below average performance. And I talk to men and women all over America who are unhappy, and they're sad, and they don't like their work, and you know why? It's because they're not good at what they're doing. So your earning ability is the most powerful and most valuable financial asset you have. And your earning ability, by definition, is your ability to get results that people will pay you for. Now, this doesn't mean that you are not a valuable person. Each human being is of incredible value. But some people's earning ability is much higher than others. And your earning ability is an asset. So it can be either increasing in value or decreasing in value. Now, here's what they studied. Here's what they found in the studies. The 80-20 rule. They found that the bottom 80% of people, the ones who struggle for money and worry about money all their lives, these people, when they take their first job, will work to a certain level, and then they will level off and never improve for the rest of their lives, unless they're forced to. And so therefore, 10 years after starting work, the average person today is no more productive at getting results than they were after 1 year. But they find that the people in the top 20% are very different. The people in the bottom 80% increase their income about 2 or 3% per year for the years. People in the top 20% increase their income at an average of about 11% per year. If your income goes up 11% per year, you will double your income every 6 or 7 years. And then you will double it again. And then you will double it again. And soon you live in a beautiful house, and you drive a nice car, and you'll send your children to private schools, and you'll have a nice bank account, and you'll be happy. But if you don't keep increasing your income, nothing good will happen. Now, what is the difference? The answer is the people in the bottom 80% don't learn anymore after they leave school. But the people in the top 20% are always learning new things. And as a result, they are increasing their earning ability. People in the top 10% in every field think in terms of their hourly rate. How much I earn each hour. Now, this change in thinking changes your entire life. I know, because I've taught this principle to thousands of people who literally transform their lives and their incomes almost overnight. If you think in terms of how much you earn in a week or a month, well, then you have a natural tendency to waste time during the day. Monday is a slow day. You're recovering from the weekend. Tuesday, you start to work. Wednesday, the week is almost over. Thursday, you start to slow down. And now it's Friday. Who gets anything done on Friday? We'll do it on Monday. And so people's ability to produce drops. And since 80% of the population thinks like this, if you're not careful, you'll find you are surrounded by people who waste time. When you start thinking in terms of your hourly rate, it transforms your life. Poor folks have poor ways. It's really hard. You don't work. Poor folks have poor ways. Always remember that. Poor folks have poor ways. They think poor. They think cheap. They think of saving. They think of spending as little as possible. They think how little money they have. But you find that successful people have successful thinking. They think very, very differently than poor people. And so remember that poor folks have poor ways, but rich folks have rich ways. It's because people who make a lot of money, my friend Jim Rohn said, he said, the The most important part of becoming a millionaire is not the money, but it's the person you have to become a millionaire. You have to become a totally different person to go from zero to being worth more than $1 million. But the good news is that if you lost all of your money because of a crash in the economy or something else, you could make it all back again, because now you're the kind of person who can make it. Once you become a millionaire in your thinking, then it's only a matter of time before you quickly restore that amount of money in your reality. So the starting point is to change our thinking, which we have said over and over again. And I've written extensively on this. The path of least resistance is a really big killer. What it is the tendency to look for the easy way, the fast way, the cheap way, the method of least effort or least cost to achieve things. And what we have in our society today, which is as a result of several generations of affluence, is we have an enormous number of people who are literally addicted to the shortcut, the easy way, the fast, quick way. There's an old saying with regard to these get-rich-quick schemes. When a man with experience meets a man with money, the man with money is going to end up with the experience, and the man with experience will end up with the money. So you'll find that the newspapers and magazines and television are all full of get-rich-quick schemes. Because there's always people who think it's possible to get rich quick, get rich easy. All you have to do is find a trick or a gimmick. And there's an enormous number of people who say rich people are just people who are lucky, just had a gimmick. It was a trick. The fact is that the rich have been studied at great length. It takes about 22 years from the time you decide to become a millionaire before you hit $1 million net worth, X your house. It takes about 22 years on average, based on the studies of many thousands and tens of thousands of self-made millionaires. People say, wow, that's a long time. If it is, get on with it. So people start at 20. By the age of 42, they're millionaires. By the age of 45, they're dual millionaires. By the age of 50 or 55, because as we say, the first million is hard, the second million is inevitable. And so what you do is you have to make the first million. Why? It's because you have to become a very different, disciplined, higher form of human being to actually make such a contribution that you actually earn and hold on to more than $1 million. It forces you to become somebody really different than you've ever been before. Financial freedom is a real big issue today. Financial freedom means that you don't worry about money. Worries about money, by the way, are the #1 reason for marital breakdown. Worries, disagreements, arguments over money. So if you have problems with money, they affect your relationship. If you have problems in your relationship, they affect your health. If you have problems with your health, it affects your peace of mind. And money is a major issue. We've been living through the most affluent country in the most affluent time in all of human history for the last 50 years. We've grown up in a level of affluence that is unimaginable for 95% of the world. And we've come to believe that this is what we're entitled to. You grow up in America, you're entitled to a fat life. One of the things that is leading to major social disruptions is a lot of people are finding it's not true anymore. It's today, if you want to be financially successful, you're going to have to work very, very hard. You're going to have to get up early and hit it hard and work all day and work into the evening. You're going to have to work 6 days a week. There are no wealthy people who work 5 days a week. Zero, nada, niche, rien de choses. None. There's no successful people who work 5 days a week. Because if you work 5 days a week, you actually only work about 4. And you start late, you leave early, and you waste time all day long. Successful people work long days and they work into the weekend. However, they're doing something they enjoy, and they're doing something they get tremendous satisfaction from because they're making progress. And as a result, it's really not work. The old rule, I found something I love to do and I never worked again the rest of my life. I worked 7 days a week, but I never worked a day. And you'll find that when you do that, which you will before we're finished, when you start to find what it is that you love to do and put your whole heart into it, you never work again, and you get paid more than you've ever dreamed of, and you don't even care. You don't even count the money anymore because you're just getting so much satisfaction from using yourself at the very highest level. And so financial freedom, this is something people have to start thinking about. The worst thing you can do today is to be in debt. As they say, the debt comes and goes, but the interest payments stay forever. It's the interest that kills you, Steve. That's the payment. So one of our goals is to achieve financial freedom. And this isn't something that happens by accident. We're not say, wow, geez, I got sure I'm financially free this morning. No, what we have to do is we have to set it down and make a plan, and we have to work on it for a long time. It's not something you can do once. It's something you need to do throughout your career. And too many people today are deeply in debt. 70% of Americans live from paycheck to paycheck. 70% of Americans. What that means is that they have no money. They have no reserves. The average American family at the age of 40, for the major breadwinner, has a total net worth of about $40,000. And that's including the equity in their home. At the age of 60, they have a net worth of about $62,000. An average of about $1,000 a year. Most people without pensions, that's why there's so much political controversy. Without pensions, most people would be destitute. They'd be impoverished because they have nothing. 70% have nothing. Why? It's not because they haven't earned a lot of money. You know that if you saved $100 a month for your entire working lifetime, you'd be worth more than $1 million when you retire. $100 a month. If somebody put a gun to your head, could you save $100 a month? That's it. Your whole future depended upon it. Could you save $100 a month? Well, it does. And people don't even save that. They spend it and they buy stuff they don't need to impress people they don't like. So here's where we start with other entrepreneurs. We say there's 4 keys. One is to clarify. Clarity is 95% of your success. Be absolutely clear about who you are, what you want, and your goals. Second is to simplify. Strip out and get rid of all of the extraneous things in your life that are bogging you down. Number 3 is to maximize. And maximize is to take your special talents, abilities, and opportunities and really develop them to a high level. And number 4 is to multiply. And that is to leverage your talents and abilities. So here's the definition. We say clarify is develop absolute clarity about who you are. One of the things we do is we help people take assessments to determine who they are, what they like to do, what they're supposed to be doing. And we find that if you're in the wrong career for you, you'll never have any excitement about it. You'll never have any desire to get better at it. But if you change and you start doing what is right for you, you suddenly come alive. You become excited about what you're doing. So who you are, what you want, and the best way to achieve it. Clarity, clarity. Second is to simplify. Simplify means to delegate, outsource, and eliminate all low-value, no-value tasks and activities in your life. In other words, look at the things you do in your life that contribute very little to your success, but you keep doing them anyway. And you'll find that about 80% of your life is trivia. Remember the 80-20 rule? 20% of what you do accounts for 80% of your results. Success, rewards, satisfaction, happiness, joy. Everything is in the top 20%, which means the bottom 80% could be cut out completely and it have no negative effect on your life. What do most people spend most of the time on? Bottom 80%. You know, television watching, since the last time we did this business seminar in Montreal, at that time it was 150 hours a month for the average adult in America. It's up to 158 hours in less than a year. Average Americans watching 5.5 to 6 hours of television, over 5 hours of television per day. Average non-adult is on social media 5 hours a day. Television watching, by the way, for young people is dropping dramatically. Networks are going bonkers. So there's older people who are not high-tech. They watch television 5 hours a day. Just imagine if you took 2 of those hours and read something worthwhile. You'd be rich in a few years. Television makes you poor. They did an interesting study. They took people's socioeconomic categories, Wall Street Journal. They found as you went down the socioeconomic categories to the poorest of the poor, they had no books in their homes and the biggest televisions they could afford. As you went up to the top, and they watched about 7 hours of television a day. As they began to go up in terms of income, television watching decreased until they got to the top 5 or 10%. These people very seldom watch television. They would pre-record something and watch it at their leisure. Later on in the evenings or on the weekends, very seldom watch television in their homes with food. So if you wanted to get into the top 10%, what you do is you have to do things that the top 10% of people do. The rules for achieving financial independence are simple. Rules are as follows. Rule number 1 is spend less than you earn. 5 units, and then save or invest the difference. This is always been the case. This is the key to financial success going back to the richest man in Babylon, Klassen, more than 2,000 years ago. You can be a blithering idiot at an average job, working at a gas station or on the farm, or driving a truck at an average wage. We could save $100 a month on average from age 20 to age 65 and let it accumulate. You'll be worth more than $1 million. $100 a month, $25 a week, less than $4 a day. About the same amount as buying a latte costing Starbucks. Can you do that? Okay, well, do lots of other things, but do that for sure. And rule number 2 for achieving financial independence is that 10% of every dollar you earn is yours to keep. What this means is that you need to develop from the beginning of your career so and 10% off the top of salary and living the other 90%. Most people get their paycheck and they spend most of it. If there's anything left over, they throw it in the bank, get rid of it, and then they grab it out and spend it on something else. They look at their bank account, shout, "Hey, we got money here, let's buy it." Some people have just got to get rid of the money. Rule number 3 is resolve in advance to prefer financial independence status. The Working the Millionaire Next Door found that the mark of self-made millionaires is that they weren't concerned about impressing the neighbors or keeping up with the Joneses. They were more concerned with financial independence than by looking good on the outside, at least until they became wealthy. So say to yourself, financial independence is number 1 to me, status is number 2, and most 3 or 4 or 10. Then be willing to substitute. Absolutely amazing what will happen to you financially. You know what we found out about self-made millionaires? Is they never buy new cars. Because in a new car, there's several $1,000s of depreciation, money that you lose the minute you drive it off the lot. So what self-made millionaires do, basically there's thousands of them, is they pick a car they really like, they file it in Consumer Reports and J.D. Power for quality of service, and then about 2 to 3 years out, they look for used models, low mileage, and good service records. And then they buy a car that 20–25% in depreciation has already been taken out of. I worked with a man once who started with nothing and achieved a net worth of $800 million. And he lived in a nice Norman neighborhood, with doctors and lawyers and architects, but not ostentatious. The people living on either side of him were just 2 paychecks away from homelessness. If their income was cut off for 2 months, they would be able to make their mortgage payment. And watch this. You drove the same used car for 3 or 4 years. You like Cadillac, so your Cadillac taken care of it. Then you get another used or loaner vehicle from a dealership so that it had already been depreciated. He was never ostentatious at all, and he ended up one of the richest men in America. When he never did wearing an old sweater, he didn't have a huge wardrobe with the same suits to meetings, and he had no bills. But when he wanted to go somewhere, he'd fly in his private $25 million jet, followed by himself. Back to the last rule for achieving financial independence. Rule number 4 is, once you put the money away, never touch it. Now, this is important. So if you're writing it down, write it in red. You see, many of us make the mistake of thinking that if you save money, you put that money away so you could have it. Done one. So when to decide, I want to buy a car, or I want to go on a trip, I want to boat, go and get this money that you save. However, if you want to spend money on those things, set up a separate savings account. This money is for your financial security. This is your financial freedom fund. Once you put money into this financial freedom account, you lock it in like a one-way door. It goes in and it never comes out. You never spend it. I can tell you all kinds of stories about how this will change your life, including in my life. There's many that you put away and decide that you will never spend it because your concerns go over. I personally will do whatever is necessary, no matter what my financial emergency is, to not touch financial fortune. Never touch it. Because if you even think even tiny glimmer that you can data that's a little bit, then you'll find yourself meeting it the first opportunity. So the key of financial success is pay yourself first. If 10% off of your account, buy used things rather than new. To put money away, never put it away and stay there, accumulate. You never see to do anything you want in life. Today in America, it's a little different because of the state of the economy. And of course, you keep that low and so high, but very few sub that. But 20% per year after taxes, that's it. In terms of growing, that was even goal, and it's ultimately achievable. So write down 5 figures representing your target net worth for the next 5 years. This seems remarkable, but the fact is that the starting point of increasing your income or your net worth is very simple. Guess what it is? Decide to do it. Make a decision to become financially independent. You say, well, not that simple. Well, it is that simple. Just fuzzy. There's simple. I know a reason that people don't see chances because they never tried to. Then back up, decision, determination. There are a lot of things you can do after you've made a decision. There are very few things you can do before making a decision, or without making a decision at all. And make that decision. Your decision may be wrong or it may be inaccurate. Face it. It's like drawing a line in the ground. What if I don't get it? That's okay. Worry about it. At least get it on paper. Take the first. Once upon a time, when I started my career, I sat down at the end of the year and my tax returns were $14,400. 12 years later, I sat down and did my tax return, and tax returns were $1,440,000. That increased my income by I went back and actually looked at it and I realized that I used a formula which I gradually articulated into what I call the 1,000 formula. And it's very simple, based on the law of incremental improvement. The Japanese call it the Kaizen, the principle of continuous betterment, getting a little bit better every day. So I asked the question, if you could increase your productivity, performance, output by 1/10. Right. Could you do that? Could you increase your productivity, performance, and output by 1/1000? And the answer is, if you were the tiniest bit more efficient, or you worked a little bit harder on a more important task, you could become 1/10%. But if you did that every single day for a week, it would be 1/10%. 5, it would be 1/2% more productive. But is that possible? Of course, anybody can. That's fact. I said if you did that every week, it'd be 2% more productive over the course of months. If you did that every day for 13 4-week months, you would be 26% productive. Is that possible? And the answer is yes. There is a thing in success called the momentum. That means that once you start going, easier and easier, keep going. Go faster, faster. So once you become 26% more productive in the course of the year, your overall output, your results, income will go up 26%. And yes, back into the swinging. Got to be more things done. Clarence, say maybe set better priorities. So if you do this 26 each year for 10 years, you'll be 1,004% better. This is what happened to me. This happened to every single person I've ever worked with. Now, one of ours in Seattle, this young man came up to me. He's about 30. I met him when he was about 22. He was working in a used car lot in a small town outside of Portland. And his name is Chris. And he came up and he said, Mr. Tracy, he said, do you remember me? I said, yes. He's a nice guy, great personality. He said, well, you know that 1,000% formula that you taught to me many years ago? I said, well, of course I remember it because I've talked to so many people. He said, Brian, it doesn't work. I said, it doesn't work. He said, it doesn't work. I said, I used it every single day. Ever since I learned it all those years ago, it doesn't work. He made me smile and said, it doesn't take 10 years. We jumped and shot. He said, today, he said, I am earning 10 times what I was earning 7 years ago. He said, I used it every day. It's absolutely amazing. He said, I'm making more money today in a week or a month than I was often making a month or a year just by using that formula. And what I did personally is I used it once and increased my income 10 times. And then I used it again and increased my income 10 times more, 100 times in 5 years. It's okay. There are two great principles of wealth attainment, and they're both equally important to understand and implement in order to be successful and acquire wealth. The first principle of wealth creation is make compound interest work in your favor. Einstein said that compound interest is the most powerful force in the universe. Get that money in there and get it working for you. Interesting, Peter Lynch of Magellan said that it's not timing the market that makes you rich, it's time in the market that makes you rich. Remember, if you invested $1 at 3% at the time of Christ, you'd be worth all the money in the world today with compound interest. Compound interest is phenomenal. So make it work in your favor by getting the money in there early and leaking it there to work. The second principle of wealth creation is to use dollar cost averaging when you buy stocks. Don't worry about being right every time or getting the lowest price when you buy. It doesn't really matter unless, of course, stocks are overpriced at the end of the bone. But if you invest a steady amount of money every week or every month or every year, then you'll end up buying things at the average price. The prices will go up and down, but you'll end up buying them high, buying them low, buying them average. Then over time, you will get the very best average deal. Dollar cost averaging is one of the great techniques for financial success. Now, here's an example of dollar cost averaging. You're investing steady year after year. I have a good friend who came over here as an immigrant at the age of 17, studying to speak English. So he began to learn English, and when he was 20 years old, he could speak enough English to begin studying financial success and going to college. Well, I had dinner with him not long ago. I had his 4-acre property in his 16,000 square foot home in a beautiful community on the East Coast. He's worth millions of dollars today. He owns banks and shopping centers and national corporations. Here's what happened. He was 20. Someone told him that real estate is the key to financial success. They're not making any more of it. You should own real estate. Well, he never thought about that. And at that time, he was a student and didn't have very much money. But he was working evenings and weekends to pay for his needs, which what they used to do in those days. So he decided he would buy one piece of property each year. This first piece of property was in a small community outside of town, and it was a lot, and it cost $25 a month to everything. He had to select bullets to make those monthly payments. His goal was to buy one piece of property a year, and he kept on doing it. He's now 49 years old. The last piece of property he bought last year was a $225 million shopping center. He still buys one property a year, only now much bigger. The skill and experience and discipline that you develop over time in buying those properties, which got bigger and bigger, made of a millionaire and a multi-millionaire. So, what's your excuse? What's our excuse? We're surrounded by hundreds, thousands, even millions of these stories. What is our excuse? It's always one thing. Is it? It's lack of discipline. So remember, 2 great principles of wealth creation are making compound interest work for you by getting the money in there and working at using dollar cost averaging, whether it's buying stocks or real estate. Next is maximize. Determine your special talents, abilities, and strengths and focus on developing them to a higher level. And then multiply is to leverage yourself and your business with other people's customers, other people's knowledge, other people's abilities, other people's efforts, other people's money, and other people's resources. Now, you've heard the old saying, it takes money to make money. Yes, that's true, but it doesn't have to be your money. It can be somebody else's money. And all successful people have developed the ability to call on the money of others. Why? Because they do good work, and they do good planning, and they take good care of their money. People line up to give them money. Now we have trillions of dollars of money waiting. I have a good friend, my business partner, is a multi-millionaire, started with that, tens of millions of dollars. And he's sitting on a pool of money that he treats at very low levels of interest. He said, I can't find a place to put it. And I will not put it until I find a place. If somebody could come along with any kind of a business proposition, the person has credibility, track record, and has a good business proposition, there's more money available than you could dream of. Money is there in coins. It's like tsunamis of money that are available. So that's why when you read in the paper, you read some such company just paid $1.8 billion or 2.6 or 9.9. Or Google just offered Groupon $6 billion cash for their business. There's lots of money for good business ideas. But it does have to be your money. It can be somebody else's. And your ability to attract that money, testify it. Very high. Strategic planning is an essential part of the success formula. Your ability to create a clear and organized strategic plan will largely contribute to your success and wealth. In fact, it's virtually impossible to succeed greatly unless you have a clear idea on where you're going and how to get there. So here are 3 key factors to remember when devising a strategic plan. Number 1 is you are in business for yourself. This means that everything that is ever going to happen to your personal success corporation, your personal business, is up to you. No one else can be expected to do it for you. Now here's a perverse law. The more that you accept that you are responsible for doing whatever it is, the more others will line up to help you. So therefore you say these words, if it's to me, it's up to me. Now number 2, your aim in strategic planning is to increase your return on energy. We call this ROE. Now the purpose of strategic planning in business is to increase return on ROE, return on capital working in the organization. But your capital is mental, emotional, and human. Your job is to get the most out of your mental, emotional, and intellectual capital. Your job is to get the highest return on energy. My friend Ken Blanchard says you want to get the highest return on the amount of your life invested in your work. Number 3, successful individuals also have good personal strategic plan. Because a good strategic plan assures that you will get the highest return on the amount of energy that you invest in anything you do.